Hi, welcome to Moto Tribe. I'm Lara Kraft.
Red Spade.
Sarah Merrill.
And this past weekend, we were at the Herrin Compound. It is a mini track down in South Georgia. So a lot of people bring either their mini bikes or they bring their Supermotos down there and just have a blast. So we're just going to recap like what we were riding, what we were doing, and how much fun it is.
I would say the Herrin Compound is one of my favorite places to go, and it's a track for sure, but it's different than your typical organized track day on big bikes. And what I love about it is it's super laid back. You go, you pay for your track time out there. Sometimes they'll do sessions depending on how many people are out there, but it's just a fun day. You get to meet the other people, hang out, talk, relax, and go battle it out and have fun on these small bikes.
I think we should all say what bikes we were on. I do not have a mini bike, so I steal Anna's husband's mini bike. I think I put more miles on that than Steve has.
I think you put all of the miles.
Yeah, so it is a fun bike, and Anna and Steve, they just put big bore kits on Steve's bike. It's been on Anna's bike for a bit. So riding the Z125 with a big bore kit, so it takes it from a 125 to a 145 or a 143 CP, and it makes a world of difference because when it was 125 and me trying to chase some of the people around, especially Anna, I lose her on the back straight and on the front straight. So having that little bit of extra power, oh my gosh, it was just a different experience. I felt like I had just so much more fun and didn't feel like I was being like held back by some of the speed.
Yeah, absolutely. The big bore kit just makes it's already a fun bike, but the big bore kit makes it extra hooligan fun. It just gets up to pace a little bit faster, which is what you want.
So I have a Kawasaki Z125 as well that I took, but mine is pretty much stock aside from the exhaust. And so I want to do the kit that Anna has on her bikes because I could use some more power. You'll notice in the videos that people tend to leave me, especially on the straights or going up the little hill in the back. And so
I'm going to call it right now because I have repeated footage of you kicking my ass on your Z125, which is not built. Sarah, you're fast. Okay. You come in under me and be like, bye. I could keep up, but
I had trouble keeping up with you this last time, and so now I'm gonna have to get that kit so that I can so that I'll have a little more power and can get around people better and be more competitive. But I also usually ride the Valley, which is a 190, but I actually didn't ride the Valley this time because honestly, I find the Valley to be pretty uncomfortable. It's really tiny, and the cool thing was that this time I had actually a different bike that we brought. It was the DRZ Supermoto. It's a 400 cc bike, and actually I wasn't even going to ride it at the Herrin Compound because the Herrin Compound it's a small track, and I felt really comfortable on it on the small mini bikes. The DRZ is a very tall bike, and so the thought of riding that on such a small track was intimidating. I just wondered if I was going to be able to handle it in the corners and how that was going to play out. And so finally, my husband was like, just take the DRZ. And so I went out there, and after the first lap was just like, okay, this bike is amazing on this track. It's actually probably my favorite at the Herrin Compound now. I was just shocked how easy it was to lean into the corners. It was just very light and very nimble. And although it's a very tall bike and it is a 400, it felt easy to ride, and I didn't expect that. But it had the power. It had a lot of the power that my stock Z 125 was lacking. And it's a whole lot more comfortable to me than riding the Valley. So in my book, I really love the Supermoto on that track. And Anna, you rode it too.
I did. I was actually really intimidated to ride it because just like you, I was like, oh, it's so much bigger of a bike to ride, just in size wise, not so much CC, but size wise. And I'm like, these corners are so little and tight. I'm like, of course, the guys like Ashton Yates, you know, he's always there. Watching those guys ride on the Supermotos, the way they back it in, slide it around, everything, like it's so intimidating to see what they do that I was like, how am I even going to ride this thing? And I'm so glad you talked me into it, because it was seriously like, I had the best time ever. Oh my gosh, that bike blew my mind. I want a Supermoto so bad now.
I feel like everybody needs one.
Absolutely, because I know I rode the DRZ on the Dragon, and that blew my mind. I was like, how in the world does someone ride this? But it blew my mind. But getting back to the Herrin Compound, when I first got out there, I was so rusty. I was like taking every corner straight up and down. And it honestly, like, I'm like, do I even know how to ride? And I think it took me sure like the first few laps and maybe even the first like 5-10 minutes that I was out there. And then I think by the second session, like the first session I went out there and I'm like, there's like so many different directions you've got to go in. And then by the second session I was out there, I was like, oh, this is just one line. Like once you figure out the line, it's like a different feeling. So like if you're ever like out there riding, you know, it takes a bit. Like at first you can get intimidated by a track and it doesn't feel fun. But you know, if you follow someone around and know the line, then they make it to where it's smooth going around, or at least smoother. And then you can start picking up pace and like really getting into the groove with riding it. While you ladies were talking, I found a picture of the course that maybe I can bring up and just show. This is the little Herrin Compound map. I think this looks a lot smoother than it is. And it also, you know, it doesn't do justice for some of the turns, like it turns towards the end. But at least you get a feel for the track.
I really like going back to the Herrin Compound, especially in like December and February. You know, that those times where it's like really, really cold up here in the mountains. And since this is so much further down south, Georgia, it's about 2 hours south of Atlanta. So the weather's always a little bit warmer down there. And it's just the perfect way to like start off your track season and get your mind in track set up and get your eyes focusing. Like Laura, you said, like get a line figured out. And for me, it's always been like a great little training session of, okay, this is what we're doing on the bike. And because it's a little bike, like you can do anything. And if you crash, it's like no big deal. You just slide out, pick it up, and continue on going your merry way.
But you know, I think another thing is it's not about just people who want to go to a track. It's, you know, if you just want to go out and ride around and, you know, try to understand what it's like to go around a track. Because there's people going at all different paces. And so, and there's even a lot of kids there. And
oh, yeah.
Some of them are crazy fast. So you can't say, oh yeah, kids, you know, but they're really fast. But I think it's a place where there's really no judgment, where you can just go out there and ride your own ride. If you've never been on track, that's completely fine. If you've been on track before, that's great. But like, no matter your skill level, like whether you're into track or not, I think you'll have a fun time.
It's an expensive way to do some track riding too. I think it was what, $60 for the day.
Yep.
And so it's a lot cheaper than doing a track day on a big bike, which would cost you definitely double, if not.
Yeah.
Plus, you're not going through tires like you would be on a big bike either. And so I feel like it's just a fun, affordable, relaxing way to do a track day.
There are sessions, but you know, sometimes you get there and it's open and it's just a few people. So it's just open sessions all day. Other times you get a lot of kids, so they'll want to separate the kids. But honestly, those kids are faster than all of us. So, I mean, it's, you know, you never know what you're getting into, but you're definitely going to have fun. That's the one thing. I've never had a bad time at the Herrin Compound.
Towards the end of the day, the last session, everyone got off track. I was still going around and I'm like, is it over? Do I need to get off? You know, so definitely times where there's no one on track but you, which is really nice. You know, if you are intimidated by track whatsoever, it's a great, way to get out there and really not have any pressure. But I'm really curious. I'm going to test you guys. What was if you could say like your recap of the weekend, or, one word to describe it, what would that one word be?
I'll just say the first word that came into my head, and that was exhilarating. And I think the reason why is because I came to the Herrin Compound after having been pregnant for 9 months and then having a 6-week-old baby. And so I really have not done any track. And I did a little riding at the beginning of pregnancy, not much midway or through the end. And so it just felt amazing to be able to go out there and get a knee down and be on the throttle and just be feeling the bike and the wind and being around a group of good friends and just having just a fun motorcycle weekend.
For me, I'm going to go with family because I missed you guys tremendously, and having Nate there, having Steve there, Judd, not just you girls, like I felt like my entire family was there. That's what you guys are to me. And getting to enjoy that and bump elbows on track with you guys I can't think of a better time than that. And, so for sure, family.
Yeah, I'd say, it was definitely a blast because legit, I went down there and I'm like, I wonder how much fun this is going to be. I mean, of course, like we're all together, but then like getting out there on track and riding around and, us cutting up and like, just getting to hang out. I mean, that was just so much fun. I mean, I was smiling ear to ear, and Sunday night, I'm like, oh my God, the weekend's over. I have to go to work. Yeah. It's so hard. Like, that's the problem, is sometimes like it's so much fun as out all together, the family and out there riding. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, like behind a computer, like that's done. So yeah, I would say it was an absolute blast and really a treat.
At least until the next time. There's always the next times to look forward to.
So yeah, till next time.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up.